what are the nested classes? Different types of nested classes. First one is the non-static, and second one is the static nested classes. Right? We have created this example. We have seen through static and non-static nested classes through this example. Here, non-static means regular inner classes, right? So today we are going to see the next points with the same part. We are going to see the next points. So we have seen the static nested classes, non-static nested classes. In non-static nested classes, we have seen regular inner classes, right? Second one is local inner classes. Okay, so these are different types of inner classes. So second type of inner class is local inner class. Local inner class is nothing but it is again the non-static inner class itself, but this is defined inside a method or a block of outer class. Okay, so this cannot be accessed from outside, and its scope is as well as cannot be defined static. So this is a non-static, compulsory non-static inner class. Okay, and it is defined as non-static and cannot be declared with any access modifier. So for different inner classes, we are going to create another class. The module 9, the nested classes package. I am creating a new class. Inner classes example, including the main method. So in this inner classes example, we are going to create, there are 3 different inner classes. One by one, we are going to see. The first one is regular inner class. Second one is local inner class. Okay. So one by one, we are going to see here. Regular inner class we have seen in previous example also, but here also we will see. So we'll create one class named outer. In this outer class, I'm going to create one variable or field, you can say, that is roll number, and one method, void display method. This display method is just display the roll number field, value of roll number field, system.out.println. Value of roll number is equals to, I'm appending roll number field here. Okay. Now we will create one more method here, that is void get percentage. Void get percentage. In this method, we are going to define one inner class. This is nothing but the local inner class. Okay, local inner class. This local inner class, we can define any class inside a method definition. Okay, or block of outer class also. So that class is known as local inner class. We are defining with class definition itself, local inner class, as the name of the class I am giving as local inner class itself. So this is a class. This must be non-static inner class. Non-static inner class. Okay. So this, we never define this class as static. ठीक है, इसको कभी भी स्टैटिक नहीं बनाना है, ये कंपल्सरी नॉन स्टैटिक इनर क्लास ही रहेगा. ठीक है. Now in this class you can define everything whatever you want. So here we are defining one field. Suppose that field is double marks, and one method I am defining here to calculate double, calculate percentage. Okay, this is the method I am using. So this method returns one double value. I am using simply a return statement. So whatever the marks variable value will be there, we'll use that marks divided by 600 into 100. So basic percentage calculation I have done here, and I am returning that value. Okay. Now to call this method, or to use this method to call this local inner class, you have to use the object of this class. To create the object of this class, I'm using the name of the class inside the percentage method itself. Okay. Local inner class I is equals to new local inner class. We are creating the object of this here itself in the get percentage method. Okay. And I am assigning some value to the marks field of that. Suppose the value is 578. And after setting the value to the marks field, I'm calling a method calculate percentage using this object, as this is a calculate percentage is nothing but member of local inner class itself. Okay, and this is instance method. This is instance variable for local inner class. So when to create this class, when you have to hide all these details from outside of this particular method, then you can create those details, those fields inside a local inner class. You can define an inner class and you can perform all the operations, whatever you require in that class. So you just need to create the object in a normal regular class itself, and you can assign, you can define the getter setter methods also. If you are creating the member as private, then you can create. So private, if you are making this member as private, you, as this is a private member, if you want to use this marks field to set and get the values, you can create the getter setter methods as well. Okay. Currently I am using this directly variable value I am setting here. Okay. Now you can set it through getter setter method also. Okay. And I'm calling the calculate percentage method here in the same class, sorry, same method block itself. Okay. So here you can see the details of the local inner class. So the inner classes, which are non-static classes, are also known as inner classes. Okay. So non-static inner class can be defined inside a method or a block of outer class. Okay. Inside a method or a block of outer class, these classes cannot be accessed from outside of its scope. Cannot be accessed. We cannot access it after the method block. Okay. Or the outer class block. So as well as we cannot be define that class as a static, and we cannot declare with any access specifier. Okay. That means we are not specifying any public here. We cannot create the public class. We cannot provide protected, private, anything. So this class cannot be static. This class cannot have any access specifier, and we cannot access it outside of its scope. Outside of its scope means its scope is within this method itself, right? So we can access that local inner class in this method block itself. That's why I have created the object of that class here. I have assigned some value to the field, and I am calling the calculate percentage method directly here. So this calculate percentage method returns some value. Okay. So if you want to return, you can use, instead of void, you can use double return type for this get percentage. And here you can use directly the return statement, so that whatever the value of this calculate percentage method is, that gets returned by this method. So how to call this get percentage method? You know that we have created a normal class, right? So you can create the object of normal class through main method using constructor. I have not defined any constructor here. So this default constructor gets called by the JVM. I am assigning the value to the roll number field. Now I want to call the instance method which I have created in the outer class, that is display, and I want to call the get percentage method. This get percentage method is going to return the value. So you can write down the result here also in the system.out.println statement. Percentage is equals to this. Okay. This is a local inner class. I'm executing this example. So you can see the roll number is 96 and percentage calculation is this 96%. Okay. So this is how we have created it. If you try to create that object outside of this, suppose I am copying all this part here, we cannot access it. Okay. This local inner class cannot be resolved to a type. Why? Because its scope is only within this method. Okay. So you need to call the method itself. You have to access all the things inside a method itself. Okay. You cannot access it outside that method. Clear? Any doubt?
So local inner class variables as well as functions are accessible only inside that outer class.
Only within the defined block where you have defined it. If you try to call this, suppose I am adding everything here. Okay. That is also not accessible. So from other method also we cannot access that local inner class. You have to call that in that method itself, in that method block itself. Understood?
Declaration and calling should be done within that particular block itself.
Yes, within that particular block itself, where you have defined that local inner class. Name itself suggests that it is a local, right? So the scope of this is local only. Local means within the defined block. Clear? This class never have any access specifiers. This class never be defined as a static. You can define anything you want inside a class. Suppose you thought that I want to create the local inner class constructor, you can create it. No problem with that. Okay, you can set the value here, like marks is equals to, suppose I am setting some value. Sorry. Suppose I am creating public constructor, which is local inner class constructor with parameters. Double marks. And this dot marks is equals to marks variable. We can do that. I can call directly constructor instead of setting this value. Okay, we can call it, no problem. But whatever you are defining inside this class, that should be accessed within that block itself.
So what is the default access specifier for local inner class and
It is
outer
local
class?
itself. So default it
Public.
is, we are not defining any access specifier to it. It doesn't have any access specifier. It is,
yeah, but default is public.
variable.
Default is public.
No, public, no.
No, okay.
No. If this has a public accessibility, then we can access it from anywhere, right? But we cannot access outside of this method block itself. So its scope
Okay.
is only limited to this block. That means it is only a local part, local class.
Okay, so outer is public.
Yes, outer is we have created outer class with the default accessibility. That means package level accessibility.
Okay.
Okay. So outer class have any accessibility, you can specify anything. But the local inner class, as the name suggests itself, it has only a local scope, local variable, as we create inside a for loop or any method that is accessible within that method itself, right? Or within that block itself. Same, this class we are defining with the local scope. There is no access specifier for this. And that is why we cannot access this class outside of that particular block. Okay. Understood? Go through this example once, and then we will see the next third type of inner class.
So roll number is accessible within local inner class. Roll number, which
Roll
is a
number,
variable.
you can access it. We will try that, but you cannot access the members of this
Marks.
local inner class outside the scope.
So
Suppose I
suppose
want to apply the roll number also here, but it is returning double value. I will write down one method also here. Display method, suppose. Same display method. We will check that whether it is accessible here or not. Okay. It is accessible. We are not getting any error here. That means we can access the members of outside class here directly, but the members of the local inner class, if we are removing this private also, then we will try again if we can create any local inner class reference. No, we are not getting any option to call this local inner class constructor also. That means it is not accessible. It is not resolved to a type. We are not getting any accessible. Okay, so you can access the members of outer class directly
inside the inner class.
inside the local inner class.
Inner class data are not accessible by the outer class.
Inner class and local inner class. Inner class means it is a regular inner class which we have created yesterday in the last session. This is a normal local regular inner class. Okay, regular inner classes information you can access it by creating the object of the inner class. Like here we have created the object of inner class. Like here we have created the object of inner class. That is a local, that is a regular inner class. Okay, and what we are seeing today, that is a local inner class. Okay, the difference is there. Inner classes are of three types. Okay, first is regular inner class. Second one is local inner class. And third, which we are going to see right now. Okay, so don't get confused. There are three different types of inner classes. Regular inner class, you can create the access everything from the local regular inner class by creating the object of that regular inner class. How to create that? That we have already seen in the last session. Today we have seen that local inner class, which is defined inside a method. We are defining it inside a method. Okay, we have defined this class inside a method. Regular inner class is defined inside a class itself. This is a class, outer class. Inside this, we have defined this class as a member of the outer class itself. ठीक है, जैसे कि रेगुलर इनर क्लास जो है वो आपका मेंबर रहता है आउटर क्लास का, बट जब आप लोकल इनर क्लास क्रिएट करते हो दैट इज अ मेंबर ऑफ अ मेथड ब्लॉक inside which you are defining that local inner class. Okay, don't get confused. There are different functionalities of each and every type of inner classes. Clear? Shall we go ahead? So this local inner class is not accessible outside its scope or where you have defined it. Understood?
So in that get percentage function itself, we are creating the object of local inner class.
Yes.
And we are trying to call the function which is there in the local inner class.
Yes. So you have defined the class also inside a method. You have defined the object also inside the same method.
So see, simply if I call this get percentage, so then automatically this local inner class will be invoked. No.
No, I didn't get you. Sorry. Can you repeat?
Double get percentage. This is the function.
Double get
Double get
percentage. Yes.
percentage. This is the function, right? So if I want to call that within the outer block, so automatically this inner class, local inner class, will be invoked.
Yes, if I am calling this, automatically this method,
Public class.
whatever you are writing here, that gets invoked. If you are not calling this method, calculate percentage of this local inner class, then it will not invoke. It will only invoke the get percentage method.
Okay.
Okay, because we are not defining anything here inside this get percentage method to calculate something, right? Calculation is done here in this local inner class.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jaideep, your question using the outer object, right? So what we have created here in the regular inner class, we have seen how to create the object of this regular inner class, right? So same thing I will try here. Okay, we are using this outer object O dot new. Okay, the name of the class is local inner class. Okay, and this is outer dot local inner class. Okay, there is no class inside the outer class. Okay, the class we have defined is inside a method get percentage. Okay, that's why it is not possible. Using outer object, we are not able to access the local inner class, and we are not going to, there is no point of, or you can say it is not resolved to a type because it is not accessible. Simple. The constructor is not accessible through the object or through the outer class reference also. So this is not possible. Okay. So आप outer class के object से inner class को call कर सकते हो, but when that class is a regular inner class. Regular inner class means that class is a member of outer class. ठीक है, रेगुलर इनर क्लास है तो ही आप उसका आउटर क्लास के रेफरेंस के थ्रू, आउटर क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट के थ्रू या फिर आउटर क्लास के नेम के थ्रू इनर क्लास को एक्सेस कर सकते हो, उसका ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट कर सकते हो, उसको इंस्टेंशिएट कर सकते हो, एंड you can access everything from the inner class. That is regular inner class. Okay. But when you are defining local inner class, which is inside a method, ठीक है, ये एक मेथड के अंदर है, तो इसको आप डायरेक्ट एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज दिस क्लास इज नॉट डायरेक्ट मेंबर ऑफ आउटर क्लास. आउटर क्लास का मेंबर क्या है? गेट परसेंटेज मेथड है. सो गेट परसेंटेज मेथड का ये पार्ट है क्लास जो हमने डिफाइन किया है. सो इट इज नॉट एक्सेसिबल आउटसाइड ऑफ दिस स्कोप. थ्रू आउटर ऑब्जेक्ट ऑल्सो यू कैन नॉट एक्सेस इट, बिकॉज वो मिलेगा ही नहीं. ठीक है, जहां पे मेथड एलोकेशन होता है, मेथड ब्लॉक का जहां पे भी मेमोरी एलोकेशन होता है, वहां पे आपका ये लोकल क्लास को डिफाइन किया जाता है. एंड इसका जो आप ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हो इसी मेथड में, उसके हिसाब से मेथड के लिए जो मेमोरी एलोकेशन हुआ है उसी में आपको मेमोरी एलोकेशन होता है. दैट इज रीजन यू कैन नॉट एक्सेस दिस आउटसाइड ऑफ द स्कोप. मेथड के अंदर ही इसको आपको मेंशन करना होता है. अगर आपने मेथड के अंदर क्लास डिफाइन किया तो उसको लोकल इनर क्लास बोलते हैं, एंड उसको हम मेथड स्कोप के बाहर एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, क्लियर? Your doubt is clear, Jaideep? Jaideep, any more doubts, anyone? Don't get confused in the different types. Okay, regular inner class is different, local inner class is different. Okay, so we will go ahead with the next type of inner class, that is anonymous inner classes. Okay, anonymous, as the name suggests, we are not going to define any name to a inner class. Okay, that inner class is known as anonymous inner class. That means we are creating the local classes itself, but we are not defining any name. So when to use the inner classes? These anonymous inner classes are used mostly for the interfaces definitions, but we will see one example here for creating the anonymous inner class. Okay? So anonymous inner classes is an inner class without a name for which only a single object is created. As the name suggests, we are not defining any name. We are not giving any name to a class. The name will be assigned by the compiler. Okay, the name is decided by the compiler. Class is created, but its name is decided by the compiler. Who gives the name? Compiler will define the name for that class. An anonymous inner class can be useful for making an instance of object with certain extracts, such as overloading methods or a class or interface. Okay, if we are creating any class or interface, we are going to overload the methods. We are defining, or overriding is possible. We are defining method body, etc. Without having to creating a subclass or creating actual class. That time we mostly use the anonymous inner classes. Okay, it is generally used if you have to override a method of a class or interface. So to use an anonymous inner classes, we use them only once. Only single object is created for that. To minimize the code, mostly we write down the anonymous inner classes to minimize the code, as we can define body, create object, and call methods at a time. Okay, to override the methods when you cannot extend the class. Okay, so these are the different functionalities of the anonymous inner class. We will see one example of the anonymous inner class, but you will get the idea of anonymous inner class when we will learn the next parts. Okay, that is nothing but interfaces and abstraction concepts. ठीक है, सो तब आपको डिटेल में समझ में आएगा एनोनिमस इनर क्लासेस का यूज क्या होता है. आई विल एक्सप्लेन दैट इन डिटेल दैट टाइम इटसेल्फ. अभी के लिए सिर्फ हम एक बेसिक छोटा सा एग्जांपल करेंगे जहां पे मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ कि एग्जैक्टली एनोनिमस इनर क्लास क्रिएट कैसे करना है. So in the nested classes itself, I'm creating a new class, anonymous inner class example. In this, I'm creating main method as well. So we have in Java, there is one class named thread. ठीक है, thread class है, predefined है, ठीक है, which is used for creating thread. And it is implementing one interface, that is runnable interface. So this runnable interface has one method, that is a run method, which is used to execute a thread. The things we are going to learn in detail in multi-threading chapter. अभी के लिए सिर्फ ये एक एग्जांपल के तौर पे देखो कि anonymous inner class write कैसे करना है. So for that we are using the thread class and the runnable interfaces run method. Okay, so here I am creating one reference of or object of the thread class, new thread. So this is a basic creation of object. Thread class already defined hai Java mein. We are creating the object of that, okay, using thread t is equal to new thread. We are calling the default constructor here. And we are going to provide the implementation for this runnable interfaces run method inside a constructor itself. Okay, so to do that, I am using new runnable okay. This is inside a constructor call. You can see that I have written this code inside a constructor call. Okay, add unimplemented methods. Here I am implementing only one statement, system.out.println run method. Okay, now after this new runnable constructor call, you can see this block, right? This block is nothing but the anonymous inner class, which is used to provide the implementation to this run method of runnable interface. ठीक है, तो run method को implementation provide करने के लिए मैंने यहाँ पे ही new runnable के बाद एक block open किया है. That block is known as anonymous inner class. This is anonymous inner class. ठीक है, this is anonymous inner class. Okay. We are not defining any name to this, but the name will be decided by the compiler. Now I will call this run method using this object t.run. T.run. Then you can see the output. We are getting the output run method. So basically anonymous inner classes are used to minimize a code. Instead of creating a new class and implementing any interface or to provide the overriding of any method or provide the implementation to any method of an interface, then to do this in a short way, we are using this anonymous inner class. Just think this as an example. अभी के लिए सिर्फ ये example के तौर पे देखो. ये thread का पूरा आपको बाद में हम पढ़ने वाले हैं. And the anonymous inner classes you will understand once we learn the next interfaces topic. ठीक है, जब आपको interfaces पढ़ने के लिए आएगा टॉपिक तब आपको समझ में आ जाएगा डिटेल में. अभी के लिए सिर्फ ये छोटा सा पार्ट ध्यान में रखो कि एनोनिमस इनर क्लासेस को डिफाइन कैसे करना है, इसको यूज कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, और भी कौन से तरीके हैं एनोनिमस इनर क्लास को डिफाइन करने के लिए. दैट वी विल सी वंस वी लर्न द इंटरफेस कंसेप्ट और एब्स्ट्रैक्शन कंसेप्ट. क्लियर? Any doubt? Understood? The anonymous inner classes nowadays is widely used for defining any method implementation of any class or an interface without actually defining a class. Okay? So this you can define it inside a constructor, you can define it inside a method, you can define it inside any constructor calls. Okay, so that is basically used for providing implementation at the runtime itself. So we have created this at runtime itself, right? So we have created the method implementation at runtime. We have called that method directly by using the same object. So this is nothing but anonymous inner class. Okay, this is anonymous inner class without any name. Clear? Any doubt?
So later on, we'll be using this anonymous inner class for calling the interfaces and classes, right?
Providing the implementations to the interfaces methods or classes methods.
Okay.
We are going to see that. in later sessions. But for abhi ke liye sirf this is one example of anonymous inner class. Understood, right? Any more doubts, anyone in the nested classes or inner classes? I think everyone is clear with the concepts of nested classes and inner classes. Nested classes are of two types: static nested class and non-static nested class. Non-static nested classes are also known as inner classes. There are three different types of inner classes: regular inner class, local inner class, and anonymous inner class. Okay. So this is example again. As I said, the anonymous class expression consists of the following. The new operator, कैसे create करना है वो यहाँ पे बताया है anonymous inner class. हमेशा compulsory you have to use the new operator. After that new operator you have to give the name of the interface or class which is you need to extend. Okay, the interface which you need to implement. Parentheses that contain arguments to a constructor, just like a normal class instance creation expression, right? This is what we have seen. And pair of parentheses. This is a pair of parentheses, curly braces, a body, which is a class declaration body. Okay. More specifically in the body, method declarations are allowed, but statements are not. Okay, that means we mostly use the anonymous inner classes for defining methods. Okay, so when to use the anonymous inner class? When you need to implement any interface, you need to provide the method implementations to an interface or any abstract or concrete class when you want to extend that class, but you are not actually creating any class, that you are performing through these anonymous inner classes. Clear? So compulsorily you need to use all these concepts like new operator, name of interface or class which you need to extend, parenthesis of a constructor call, then these parentheses, curly braces to define anonymous inner block, anonymous inner class. Okay. Inside that we are defining any methods which are overridden methods of interface or class. Okay. Or any other methods. Okay. And this is known as a body of the anonymous inner class that should end with the semicolon. यहाँ पे हमने directly constructor के call में ही लिखा है class. ठीक है. This is a constructor call itself, but you can create अभी हमारे पास ऐसा कुछ एग्जाम्पल नहीं है. Let me see. Okay. First, to understand that, you need to understand, first learn the inheritance concepts at least so that we can perform this. Okay. Clear? So the difference between regular inner class, that is normal class, and anonymous inner class. Normal class can implement any number of interfaces, but anonymous inner class can implement only one interface at a time. ठीक है? Normal class हम कितने भी interfaces को implement कर सकते हैं. Anonymous inner class के through आप only one interface at a time ही कर सकते हो. A regular class or a normal class can extend a class and implement any number of interfaces simultaneously, but anonymous inner class can extend a class or can implement an interface, but not both at a time. ये दोनों functionality at a time हम नहीं कर सकते. Interfaces implementation and extending a class that we can perform to normal class or regular class, but anonymous inner classes cannot perform that. We can perform any one operation at a time. Okay. For regular or normal class, we can write any number of constructors, but we can't write any constructor for anonymous inner class. We never write a constructor. Why we never write a constructor? Because we don't know the name of the compiler is going to give to that particular anonymous inner class, right? Because anonymous inner class's name we are not defining. Who is defining? Compiler is defining the name, right? So we don't know the name of that particular class defined by the compiler. That's why anonymous inner classes never have a constructor. कभी डिफाइन नहीं करते कंस्ट्रक्टर में, बिकॉज वी नेवर नो द नेम ऑफ दैट क्लास. Okay, while defining a constructor, class name and constructor name must be same. In anonymous inner classes name, we are not providing any name. That is why we never write any constructor. Clear the difference between the normal class and anonymous inner class. With this, your topic, nested classes and inner classes, encapsulation concepts are completed. Any doubt in complete these, any topic previous जो भी टॉपिक्स हमने देखे हैं उसमें किसी को कुछ डाउट है? Encapsulation, nested classes. Okay. So next concept is abstraction. But to understand the abstraction, you need to first understand the concepts of inheritance, because abstraction is completely based on inheritance concepts. Okay, so that is why we first learn the inheritance concepts and then we will come back to your abstraction part. Okay. So the inheritance is nothing but your next module, that is module 10. Is my screen visible, everyone? Abstraction concept we will learn after completion of this module 10. Okay, because you will not understand the abstraction concept unless and until you will understand this inheritance concepts. Inheritance and polymorphism is the next module. In this, we are going to learn inheritance and its different types of inheritances in Java also. Inheritance, method overriding, and dynamic method dispatch. Polymorphism and its different types. From this polymorphism, we have already completed the method overloading part. So in this chapter, we are going to learn overriding, method overriding, and the differences between these two. Okay. So the first point is inheritance. What is inheritance? We have seen this part. What is inheritance? Can you tell me what is inheritance? What we have learned? Yes, we have learned the 4 pillars of OOPS, right? So from that, what is inheritance? As the name suggests, we are inheriting something, right? We are inheriting from parent to child, correct? So inheritance is one of the key features of OOPS that allows us to create new classes from existing class. This is the basic statement for, or basic, you can say, definition for inheritance. That is, we are creating a new class from an existing class. We have seen one example. We acquire some properties of your parent because we are inheriting some properties from your parent, from our grandparents, right? So same thing here in the inheritance, we can create a new class from an existing class. The new class is created is known as subclass, child class, or derived class. The terms are different, but it is everything is same. Subclass is same as child class or derived class. Okay? And the existing class from where the child class is derived is known as superclass, parent class, or base class. Okay? Parent-child relationship, subclass, superclass relationship, base class, derived class relationship. We always use the terminologies in this manner. ठीक है? Parent के साथ हमेशा child आता है, सुपर क्लास के साथ हमेशा सब क्लास आता है, बेस क्लास के साथ हमेशा डिराइव्ड क्लास आता है. Okay? So this is one example where the person class, suppose that person class is a parent or super class. ठीक है? And person is a relationship we always use here. Inheritance is also known as is a relationship because student is a child class which is acquiring the properties of person class, which is extended from the person class. So you can say that student is also known as child and subclass. Okay? Student is a person. Student is a kind of person. Student is a person. That is why we can create the easy relationship using inheritance. Inheritance is always easy relationship. Easy relationship. Okay? Because whatever the child classes you are going to create is a part of the parent class. Okay? It is a part of the parent class. It is an extended part of the parent class. That is why always inheritance is a relationship. In Java, everything is dependent on the inheritance. Why? Because there is an object class, which is the parent class of all the classes, right? Whichever the class you are creating, it has the object as a parent class that I have already explained, right? So it is a top level inheritance hierarchy in Java. Object class is at the top level of inheritance hierarchy in Java. So inheritance is there since start. ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास के थ्रू ही आपके सब कुछ सारे क्लासेस डिफाइन होते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई एवरीथिंग इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन द इनहेरिटेंस इन जावा. ठीक है. सो कंपल्सरीली रिमेंबर दैट inheritance is always an easy relationship. Object class is the inheritance top level hierarchy class है. ठीक है. And the different terminology is used for parent child relationship. Different names used for classes, whether which class name you are using or which terminology you are using, accordingly you need to use the second terminology as well, like a parent or child, superclass, subclass, base class, derived class. Okay? So Java inheritance is used. We have an easy relationship between objects. Always it is easy relationship. Inheritance in Java is implemented using extends keyword. Extends keyword. Okay, we always use extends keyword in inheritance. Clear? Now, next is use of inheritance. Why we use inheritance in Java? What is the importance of using inheritance in Java? Okay. First of all, is for code reusability. Code reusability is the main feature where the extended class does not have to repeat the existing properties of its parent. What is the mean by the existing properties of this parent? Suppose this is a person class. I am defining some name field, address field, then some mobile number fields, etc. into this person class. Student will also have these fields, right? नेम रहेगा, एड्रेस रहेगा, मोबाइल नंबर रहेगा. पर्सन का है मतलब स्टूडेंट का भी रहेगा ही. So we don't need to provide or we don't need to write any details again inside the student class if we are creating these two classes or we are binding these two classes as a inheritance. ठीक है. So जो भी common part रहेगा that you can write inside a parent class, and whatever the specific data that you can write here into the student class itself. That we will see for using one example also. Second one is for changing the existing behavior. If in case child needs to change the existing behavior of its parent, then it can do by overriding the methods of its parents. Now here that we are going to see in the polymorphism concept, what is the overriding and how to achieve it. Okay, so this is the methods of its parents. Thus it achieves runtime polymorphism. The syntax of using the inheritance is class name, subclass name, extends superclass name, and whatever the class definition will be, the methods and the fields you can define in normal class. This is basic concepts of inheritance. Why we use inheritance? There are two main objectives of using inheritance, that is a code reusability and changing the existing behavior. Okay, this is basic concepts of inheritance. Any doubt, anyone? Clear? Okay. Now, suppose I'm creating a new module. Package, module 10. Inside this module 10, I'm creating a new class. Name of the class is inheritance concept. Including the main method. So in a simple manner, we will understand that if without inheritance, suppose you went to a bank and you want to apply for loan. So they will ask you what type of loan you want to apply. So they have multiple loans. For example, this is class bank. Okay. I'm creating through direct example. This is a class bank. It has some account details. Suppose that is integer account number. I will directly write down account number, then address, okay, contact number, account folder name. These details we have in our regular bank account. Now, suppose, as I said, you want to apply for a loan. That bank has multiple types of loans. Suppose the first loan is class personal loan. Okay. Personal loan will have its details again, all these account number, account address, contact number, all these details will come again here, and its rate of interest, right? Loan interest rate. So I will write down ROI, rate of interest, tenure. Okay. So these details we are getting here for personal loan. Okay. Now, again, there is another type of loan. Suppose that loan is class educational loan. Educational loan. Again, these details will be same for the educational loan. Correct? So what is the point of creating these different classes and wasting the memory, writing the repeated code? There is no point of writing this repeated code for each and every class and each and every concept for, and again, the memory will be, what we can say, memory wastage will be there, right? So same thing, if you use or write down with inheritance, then it will be easy to understand how. So all these common details we can combine and create a single class. Suppose that class is loan class. Inside that, we are writing all these fields which are common. Suppose consider that this class has 50 methods. Okay, 50 methods for this particular bank class or any loan class. It also has, suppose, 50 methods. It also has some, suppose, 50 methods. So हर एक के 50 methods लिखने के लिए हर क्लास में आपको टाइम तो लगेगा. You will require some time. The implementation time or development time will be high for writing the same code and 50 methods in each and every class, from which suppose there are 40 methods which are common, same methods, same details. So you can combine it and write it down inside one class, and whatever the its individual requirements or individual details you can write inside this particular class. So suppose that class is, I am creating here personal loan itself. Okay, personal loan. Now I want all these details also inside this personal loan class. So we can use here extends keyword, and after that the name of this class, that is the parent class, जहाँ पे हमने common code रखा है, so that we don't have to read or write these all details again here. So you are saving time, development time, right? And this is, we can only write down the details which are required. Okay, so we are writing only the methods which are personal loan class related itself. Okay, so this is the code reusability functionality for which we are using the inheritance concept. Clear? So using inheritance, it is important. Okay, so with this example itself, we will end our session. We will continue tomorrow with the next part. Thank you, everyone. Bye. You may leave.